Hi, my name's Chris Griffin, the morning show host of 1450 KMMS, 1340 KPRK. To my left, to your right, the host of 96.7 KISS FM, our sister station from just down the hall. And recently a conversation, it started as an email conversation discussing Citizen Kane, the 1941 Orson Welles vehicle. I am of the opinion that it is the greatest film ever made.
I'm of the opinion that it's not the greatest film ever made.
Well, can we agree on the gold standard of movie reviews is the New York Times?
No, none whatsoever. The New York Times is garbage.
The New York Times reviewer, Bosley Calther, reviewed on its opening day in New York City. Citizen Kane is far and away the most surprising and cinematically exciting motion picture to be seen here, meaning New York City, in many a moon. As a matter of fact, it comes close to being the most sensational film ever made in Hollywood. It has been around for nearly 75 years. Early May 2016 will be its 75th anniversary, and for its enduring quality alone, I offer it again as the greatest movie ever made.
Okay, fun fact, it is not the greatest movie ever made in New York. You could either argue for Wolf of Wall Street is like one of the top films ever made in New York. There's that one, Gangs of New York. Also, fun fact, it didn't even win the Oscar for Best Movie in 1941. It lost to How Green Is My Valley. And I'm just saying, when I base a movie on the greatest film ever made, I like to rank it on pretty much like cinematic values, like reviews and all that stuff, but also rewatchability. Could I rewatch this movie over and over again? And Citizen Kane is not that kind of movie. I really think it is a great film, but I don't think it's the greatest movie ever made.
Can we agree Roger Ebert is a well-respected film critic?
Yes, he is.
It is included on his list of greatest movies ever made.
Well, but is it number one?
In 1998 May review, Roger Ebert says, Citizen Kane is more than a great movie. It is a gathering of all the lessons of the emerging era of sound, just as Birth of a Nation assembled everything learned from the summit of the silent era. The way Orson Welles produced, wrote, directed, and starred in the film, making him a quadruple threat. Film today is being made from the lessons that filmmakers have learned from Citizen Kane, and for that reason alone, it is the greatest film ever made.
Just, like, the thing is, how do you know that people have been learning? Because there's other movies that have come out after that that have done things that even Citizen Kane didn't do. Like, I don't even think Citizen Kane's the greatest black and white movie ever made. I think the greatest black and white movie ever made is a choice between either Casablanca or Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, which Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is even more respected because it wasn't even nominated for a Best Picture, and it did something that you've never seen in a movie. It killed its main character in the first 30 minutes of the film.
Within the first 30 seconds, Kane dies.
Well, no, but he's in the movie for the rest of the thing. He is in the rest of the movie because they show flashbacks to Hearst about like his life and like how he got all that power.
And each time you revisit, you learn more and more. Citizen Kane is not a static film from beginning to end. It revisits the time of Charles Foster Kane's life throughout. The political speech that Charles Foster Kane delivers could be delivered by Donald Trump today and be believable.
Well, yeah.
He's a visionary.
The whole thing about Citizen Kane, it's like, I've watched it 3 times in my life, and every time I was just like, this is boring. Like, I understand like why it's great, but it's the same thing why, you know, a lot of films are just like, oh, that's a great movie, but that's not something I would buy or I would want to keep watching. It's not rewatchable. Like Saving Private Ryan by Steven Spielberg, that is a movie that you can watch over and over again, and it's a great film, and it's also in the top 10 film of any list.
The film's construction shows how our lives after we are gone survive only through the memories of others, and those memories butt up against the walls we erect and the roles we play in our lives. Again, for that very reason alone, Citizen Kane is the greatest film ever made.
I highly disagree, but that's just our opinion. What's your guys' opinion? Make sure you comment down below. What do you guys think? Do you think Citizen Kane is the greatest movie, or do you have a different opinion? Make sure you guys like and subscribe the video, and we'll be back next week to have another discussion about another movie.
He wants to do the Goonies.